If you are running out of time during the day due to so many monotonous tasks, or you're looking for methods to scale with an affordable team in contrast to doing it all on your own, then hiring virtual assistants, as long as you have room in your profits and it's within your budget, can really be a stepping stool for you to grow your business. Now, remember, you want to constantly work on your business, not in your business. And creating systems and processes is what grows your business into a thriving one. And so hiring a team that supports your business and helps you grow is what we'll discuss in this video. And I'll show you exactly where I find my virtual assistants and how they fit into my business so you could emulate it onto yours. What is going on, Amazon sellers? Welcome to the Flips Nations channel. My name is Rob and I do about 25K a month in sales on Amazon's platform, doing primarily online arbitrage. Now, I'll get right into the virtual assistant video. Just drop me a like and subscribe to the channel if this did help you out. And remember, there's a link below to the free Flips Nation Amazon FBA Discord group, packed with information, free content, a free 3-part online arbitrage course waiting for you to take advantage of. Hope to see you there. Now let's get on to the virtual assistant video. All right, so this video will be all about virtual assistants as far as hiring one, where to find them, how to filter your candidates, what kind of interview questions to look for, and just little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way from hiring my own virtual assistant. Now, there's various perspectives from the Amazon space on when the best time it is for a new seller to look for and hire a virtual assistant. So I'm just going to give you the general perspective on that front, as well as my own opinions and perspective on when I think it's a good time for a seller to start looking and hiring a virtual assistant for sourcing or for whatever kind of tasks you might need to get done. So some takes I've heard is when you hit that 10K to 20K a month in revenue constantly, then you might be hitting some sort of wall, whether that may be limited of resources, limited in time. So it might be a good idea to start outsourcing and hiring a virtual assistant. Also, when you hit that milestone, 10K, 20K, whatever that is, it's also assumed that you have pretty good knowledge. And at this point, you've had a lot of reps in sourcing and you've owned that skill. So you're going to be able to teach or train a VA to also emulate your own techniques. Another take that I've heard when it's the best time to hire a virtual assistant is when you have more money than time, or more capital than time. Now, this is just another way to omit a sales milestone, like I mentioned prior. Just simply, if you have room in your capital to hire a virtual assistant or willing to make that investment in hopes that it can leverage you to scale to increase profit potential, and you don't have enough time during the day, then you should consider hiring someone for your monotonous tasks. Now, keep in mind, you will still need to have good knowledge of how to source, because how are you going to train and teach someone if you yourself do not have those skills? And finally, here's my take. I think you should have a meticulous understanding of the Amazon OA model. And this doesn't just mean you know what products to buy from what sites to make a profit. It also means to have the knowledge of detailed elements and nuances of products not to buy due to fear of safety concerns, be in better shape of fighting IP complaints, inauthenticity complaints. And all this comes with being in the trenches and learning for the first however so months. And that 10, 20, 30, 40K a month revenue is just a number that people use because that's when one would assume you've been through this experience, because maybe you've had to go through these issues during that feat. But you want to make that decision on your own. You'll know when you have all this kind of understanding, and it isn't quantified just by an X amount of sales per month. I also believe outsourcing in this business is the best way to scale. As business is, you're going to encounter various bottlenecks which can prevent you from scaling. Things like a limitation on time, money, resources, or just absence of help. As it pertains to time, there's only 24 hours in a day, and I realized one significant bottleneck for me was prepping. Since I was the only one prepping, it simply took a long time to finish, waste start piling up. So acquiring a prep center for me was probably the best thing I could have done to free up my time so I can focus more on scaling my business. And now that's the same concept for hiring a virtual assistant. I knew 3 virtual assistants sourcing would always generate more results than just my self-sourcing, right? So, but with that, you also need to create SOPs so your employees can follow along exactly what you want them to do. And that's kind of how my framework is. I have 2 VAs, they both source, but one also enters into my prep center while the other one enters into inventory lab. Now, to bring this home, it's always going to be daunting to give up your control to someone else who isn't invested into your business like you. However, this is where I come and tell you, if you do the hiring process correctly, you filter your candidates correctly, ask them the right questions, they can help you scale your business. So with that being said, Thank you for listening to my spiel. Let's get on with how to go about hiring your new virtual assistant. All right, let's get started here. It's going to be a series of PowerPoint slides. Hopefully it's not too boring. I think it's a little more engaging than me just talking to you guys with my face. So let's get started. The Flips Nation virtual assistant hiring and interview process. So before I begin here at the Flips Nation Discord group, I do have a bunch of qualified, trained virtual assistants. I've already trained them. I vetted them. They do work for me. They have done work for me. So I am offering those virtual assistants available to you if you want to hire someone that is already trained and ready to go instead of going through this hiring process, going through the bumps if they're not good enough, yada, yada, yada. So that is available in the free Discord group. You can find the link inside the group, or you can just open a ticket and talk to me about things like pricing, things about the virtual assistants themselves, what kind of leads they provide, the quality, stuff like that. But they're all trained and vetted by me on all their leads. If you want to skip all this hiring process, you can go there and find a reliable virtual assistant right now. With that, let's move on with the slideshow. All right, so you can go to various sites to find qualified candidates for your virtual assistant tasks. You can go on Upwork, which I've done for another business of mine. You can also go to Fiverr, much more common. I've used Fiverr several times for various tasks, not only for virtual assistants, not only for Amazon, but for other businesses that I used to run. Now, both of these sites have quality people. However, the prices are a premium. And as far as Fiverr, you'd be paying through their platform, so fees are taken out of your payments for your potential employee. So as a result, hiring people on Fiverr and Upwork as far as virtual assistants for sourcing and data entry for this business are a little expensive. So I think the most beneficial site that you could go on is onlinejobs.ph. And hiring from the Philippines would be the best plan of action in conclusion from these three sites. So why onlinejobs.ph? Many of the people that work for me from the Philippines all show me a great work ethic. Reliability is there, availability is there, and although there is a stark time difference, right? They're 13 hours ahead. So whenever it's evening time for me, it's morning time for them, vice versa. So you have to communicate effectively to make the working relationship flourish. The price for them is relatively much more affordable than pricing from Fiverr and Upwork. On average, most do ask for $3 an hour, which is equivalent to about 165 Philippine pesos. So while their minimum wage at this junction in time is about $10.30 per day, or roughly 570 Philippine pesos a day, so they are a little more eager to work. Not only that it's above minimum wage, which you'd be paying, but the luxury of working from their home, working from their computers. There's also a scarcity of jobs there, as far as what I know. So don't kill me if that's not true. But so if that is the case, then you're going to be providing them with great value and receiving great value in return for your business, right? So please note that paying them will always make it a great relationship and you'll receive quality work from them. I always try to, just for an example, I have one VA who's kind of training another one as part of her work. And, I paid her a little extra this week. Just stuff like that. They'll appreciate it. And it's a way of you just kind of thanking them, right? So if you've never heard of onlinejobs.ph, think of it as just like Fiverr, where you can search for applicants, but the applicants are all from Philippines. And also, in contrast to from Fiverr, you make a job post and you will get applicants into your online jobs message inbox. Now, you may be overwhelmed from all the applicants that you'll receive. So as a result, I have a kind of a hiring process. Now, remember, it is a blessing to have that much available help. However, such is the hiring process. You need to do your due diligence to filter the applicants that you will interview. You want to mitigate any kind of wasted time. So you want to tackle this head on the correct way the first time around. Okay, so let's transition on over to how I execute a job post and filtering potential candidates so you can maximize your time during your candidate search. Be aware when you make a job post, you will get flooded with candidates with their messages and resumes. So this part is extremely important. You will first need to make an account, of course, on onlinejobs.ph. I have a link below that you can use to go on their platform. To charge to use their service is $69 per month. But I know that sounds kind of pricey, but you will get a huge value after that small payment. You can also cancel whenever. You can also choose to not pay that $69 and just post to see your applicant pool. However, you won't be able to contact anyone until you've paid. So it's in your best interest to go ahead and pay that small fee to find your help, because you will get applicants. You won't be able to see their contact information if you did not pay. So now that you made an account, it's time for you to make your post. When you make your post, don't make it ambiguous, right? It's important to be very specific and clear on the task that needs to be done each day, so they don't apply assuming, right? So in addition to that, it also helps if you include something in regards to the experience that you require. So my job posts usually start with past experience working for another seller is preferred. Now, please include that in the subject line if you had prior work experience, is something I also add. So past experience working for another seller is preferred. Please include in the subject line if you had prior work experience. Now, this is the reason for that. When you get flooded with candidates in your message inbox on their onlinejobs.ph's platform, it saves you an abundance of time to just view their subject line first, because you will receive, again, extremely lazy and uninteresting applicants who just mass send. Like, seriously, I've seen applicants where it just has like 4 lines in their messages. So in addition to that line, I got another tip, and this is a shout out Steve Rakin from Rakin Profits. He kind of advised this, and I kind of took on his idea. You want to put a small little, you want to put like a little secret question inside the body of your post, such as, what's 5 plus 5? What's 3 plus 4? Or something like that. I ask how many subscribers are in my my YouTube channel. By the way, if you have not liked or subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so right now. But if they don't include the fact of my subscribers, or in your case, if you don't have a YouTube channel, maybe they don't answer your 2 plus 2, 3 plus 3, whatever your math problem is, then you know that they're just mass posting, and you don't even need to read their job post because they're probably mass posting. They're not actively reading your job description. Okay, so now let's discuss what's in your actual body and job tasks, right? So first of all, make sure you include if you're looking for full-time or part-time. The last thing you want is to conduct a whole interview, only realize they're only looking for part-time or vice versa. That has happened to me before. Don't be that guy. Next, as mentioned prior, write exactly what you're looking for someone to do each day and what software they'll use each day. If you're looking for a VA to source leads for you, say clearly, job role is mainly to assist with finding profitable items to sell on Amazon FBA through online arbitrage every day. That should be what you start off with, something along that line. You should clarify how they'll communicate the leads to you and what software you can supply them to use. So they should have experience with things like Google Sheets, Keepa, Seller Amp, what have you, right? So what you want to reinforce, what kind of knowledge they should already have. Things like candidate should know how to analyze an Amazon listing's profit potential based on their sales volume, its Keepa chart, profit margin, number of sellers on a listing, as well as candidates should be knowledgeable on what listings to stay away from based on IP complaint potential and a listing's potential for its price to tank, things of that nature. And you'll get a lot of responses who directly address these kind of things, which is always just better for you to know that the candidate is knowledgeable from the jump, right? Now, this is just the backbone of what I'm articulating. If there are more details you want to include, definitely include it, right? This is just a stepping stone. So things like commission opportunities, perhaps you want them to work certain hours, what days you expect them to work, perhaps you want someone who's already familiar with certain categories and brands you're comfortable with sourcing, things of that nature. Now, finally, I want to emphasize one more thing. You can say all these things and will still have to train, right? Finding someone who's immediately experienced at sourcing and communicating will be a little difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but there will always be areas to train. So this is why many businesses enjoy hiring people right out of college, because they can train and mold them in how their company operates. Likewise, you should also take pride in being able to train someone to source like you, right? This should also emphasize the importance of your own expertise. You can't train someone the skill you yourself don't encompass. And so it's important for you to sharpen your own skill before teaching someone else. That's why you should always get good experience with learning Keepa, sourcing, and all that stuff before you look into hiring a VA to work for you. Now, you can of course always link them to my videos. I'd appreciate that a lot. You can also tell them to like and subscribe. Or you can always share your screen on Skype, Teams, Discord. Again, more than likely, you will find a candidate who may not be a rock star their first day. Many of them will tell you they have some sort of training, which is better than no experience at all. And that's when you kind of question them with my interview questions that I'll go through here coming up. And those kind of questions that are coming up, you can emulate to evaluate their skills and knowledge level. So let's transition over to selecting from your applicant pool in your inbox and what kind of questions to ask before making your final decision. All right, so as I previously mentioned, you're going to be receiving a bevy of messages from your job post, right? So it's incumbent upon you to capitalize on the applicants who have executed your request in your job post, a la your secret question and the body that you've hidden in there, as well as if they've had any kind of experience in their subject line. So when you make a job post, you can get flooded with messages, right? Now you can just kind of bang, bang, read the subject line rather than going into the body and reading the response. It just kind of gives you a way to filter it, right? So with that being said, let's transition to selecting from applicant pool in your inbox and what kind of questions to ask before making your final selection. Okay, so now we'll do our first stage of filtering here. So again, you're gonna have a bunch of messages in your onlinejobs.ph inbox. You're gonna read their subject line. You're gonna run through and read all their subject line. 2 + 2 is 4. I have X amount of job experience, whatever. Right? So if it's compelling enough, you're going to do exactly this. You're going to copy and paste this. Hello, thank you for your interest in the job. Please message me on Skype at whatever your Skype name is and send me a snapshot of your application. You want to copy and paste this all to the ones that you're interested in. And the reason you want them to take a snapshot of their application, by the time you get to your Skype, it's also going to be filled with a better quality, but you're going to forget what their resume was, So if they provide a snapshot, you already kind of know who it was that sent you that message. So now it's just the whole thing is there, right? You don't have to go back to online jobs to see what that person had in their resume, whatever. It's already there in that message with them. Now, when you're in the Skype inbox, you now have a better quality pool than what you had in your online jobs because these are the ones that answer your questions, right? Now, you can either directly interview them right there, or you can start asking them questions to qualify them even further. Things like describe their past experience or training. However, if you want to schedule a direct interview right from the jump, you can do so as well. In the past, I've done both. I've done straight to the interview. I've also went on another stage of filtering. You can ask them to all answer this, and you can copy and paste this all in your Skype inbox of your better quality pool. Can you please describe in detail your past experience and training and what you learned in that training? Things of that nature. All right. Now, just keep in mind when you schedule these interviews, there is a time difference. Try to be amicable when you're talking to them, right? They're human beings. Try to be considerate of their time difference. Again, I'm Central Time right here in Texas. 13 hours ahead is what they're on. So by the time it's evening time for me, it's morning for them. So just schedule the interviews accordingly. With that being said, let's move on to the interview process. All right. So we're now here on the interview stage. So of all the other stages in hiring your virtual assistant, this is arguably the most important. Now remember, these are real people, so be amicable as possible when you greet them during the course of the interview, but also be straightforward and ask the questions you want answered because it's your one shot of kind of qualifying and evaluating how they respond to your questions and understanding what their experience is, what their experience level is. Now, it's much better to have a video Skype interview so you can really see them and speak with them. I think it really crystallizes the business relationship when you do a video interview over a mere audio interview. So as it pertains to the interview questions, right? So let's go on to the interview questions. Here's a question to ask them, and you can emulate these exact questions and or use them how you may. So first, of course, introduce each other just to confirm their availability. There's a famous saying, your availability is your best ability. So ask about their other obligations with their family. Maybe they have another job, maybe they have school. So you're aware of these things in case you do hire them and they tell you that, hey, they got something going on. you guys are on the same page and same understanding that they have other things going on. Now, next, ask them about their past training or experience, and when they speak about it, make sure you ask details of their response to make sure it's sincere. Now, this isn't to say that they're lying per se, but it's more so just to evaluate their knowledge about the things they're explaining, because this is your only one opportunity to do so, right? So for example, if their prior experience was sourcing, ask them things like, oh, okay, what categories were you mainly sourcing? What kind of brands did you encounter? What online stores did you find yourself sourcing from? How many leads a day were you generating for your past job? What kind of softwares facilitated your sourcing? Just questions of that nature, just asking more in detail of the things they're relaying to you, okay? Now, after you've moved on from those kind of basic surface questions, now, the next question after you pass those surface questions, and one of the most important concepts or skill for a potential interviewee is their knowledge of a typical Amazon listing. How to read Keepa, how to know when to stay away from a brand or a listing for a potential IP complaint or a brand complaint. So I have a scenario that I asked them, and it pretty much hits and fires in all cylinders. It's kind of a scenario that I give them, and it addresses a lot of questions that you may ask. So it's better to give them the scenario than just asking generic questions over and over again, because this kind of scenario is something that they will literally be doing if they work for you. Okay, so this is the scenario. Okay, so let's say you find an amazing 75% off on Nike socks on Kohl's.com. You find the exact listing on Amazon. Naturally, you realize there's a small, medium, and large. Please tell me how you would analyze the listing on which variation is the best lead. Now, I only say best lead because I want to hear them tell me what defines best for them, which hopefully includes them explaining the buy box, number of sellers, etc. And you can, of course, ask them to make sure they include these elements so your questions isn't so vague, right? This isn't really a gotcha question. You're really trying to understand what their understanding is and what their knowledge is. If you see that they're not really getting within the ballpark of the answer you want to see, you want to just kind of steer them towards it, right? Now, in addition to just variations, I want to see if they know how to navigate Keepa from just the charts all the way to the variations tab, all the way to the offers tab, the buy box statistics. So things like that, hopefully they answer and go straight to it without you answering, without you having to guide them to it. But those kind of things is kind of how you evaluate your candidate. Now, next question revolves around their knowledge of refraining from a listing. Now, I framed the same type of scenario, but tweak it, right? So here's the question. Here's the second question. Let's say you found some random brand, not a household name like Nike, but a random brand on Target for a large 50% off. You find that exact same listing on Amazon and deem it profitable. However, despite it being profitable, what are some reasons you may refrain from sending me this lead? Now, in this scenario, things I'm looking for here is, of course, IP complaint related red flags, such as is the brand's name on the listing, perhaps there's only 3 sellers on the listing and they all have 1,000 reviews, which is indicative that there might be wholesalers. Could also be very apparent that it's private label if it's historically just has 1 seller and an unheard of brand name. Things of that nature you want to hear from their responses. And you can evaluate how you want based on their response. Now, if you want your potential virtual assistant to do other things not related to sourcing, such as data entry, sourcing for wholesalers, make sure to frame up your own questions adequately to test their competence. These questions obviously are just straight for online arbitrage sourcing purposes. Now, in addition, I always also ask them what kind of pay they're looking for. You'll find that many of them ask for $3 an hour. Now, remember, guys, the best way to get quality work is to pay them well, offer commission opportunities, give raises, etc. All right, so those are the questions in the actual interview phase. Hopefully that helped you out. These kind of questions, I just kind of started asking them throughout all my interview processes, and I found that this Nike sock and this unbranded sock scenario fires in all cylinders, gives them opportunity to answer with all their own knowledge without you having to ask little questions over and over again. And again, it's something that they'd encounter whenever they're working for you. So I think a scenario aspect is much better than just fire questions at them over and over again. All right, so this is the last phase, the conclusion phase. So now that you've interviewed, I would say 5 to 10 people. And look, guys, after you've interviewed, even after 5 people, it gets really tiring, right? You're asking the same questions over and over again. But remember, the larger your sample size, the better chance you find someone who's qualified. So I would do as many as you can because this one person is going to help you run your business. So you want to make sure you get the right person. And it's up to you the quantity of people you want to interview. But after you've interviewed the amount of people that satisfies you, it's up to you how you want to move forward. For me, I start everyone with a 1 week paid trial. And it's not only for me, but I also want them to see if they would enjoy working for me in my business and what my reasonable expectations are. And naturally, it gives you a taste of their work productivity and quality. Then, when the week wraps up, I decide if I want to keep them long term. So you might ask me, hey, how many leads should I ask them a day? I typically don't really think it's up to the X amount of leads a day. I don't know if I said this earlier in the video, but I know how much I'm paying them every day. And if their leads are giving me profit 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x more than what I pay them every day, then I'm happy. But generally speaking, my VAs give me about 5 to 7 leads a day. I'm sure other people get way more than that. But it's whatever you prefer. It's whatever you and your qualified candidate agree upon. Now, after that paid week trial is up, decide if you want to keep them long term. And before you call them to hire them, write down on a document or in a message exactly the tasks that you expect from them clearly in text. So there's no surprises on either ends. Then tell them what your pay is going to be, how many hours you expect them to work, and you will give them time to make their decision, right? You don't want them to go, okay, so do you want to work for me, right? Give them 24 hours, give them a week, whatever time they need to evaluate and make their decision, because it's a big jump for them too, right? Not just for you. And that is it, guys. Remember, again, in the Flips Nation Discord group, if you want to just go through me with trained, ready to go virtual assistants, that is available. If not, there's a link below to the onlinejobs.ph website. Find it down below. Again, if you want to join the free Flips Nation Discord group, 3-part online arbitrage free course that you need to take advantage of if this is new to you, as well as a guide on how to select your right virtual assistant. Hope this helped y'all. I do think getting a VA is essential.